Every day there are children who are being abused in some form. This could include mental, physical, and even sexual abuse. This can affect the child later on into their adulthood. There needs to be help out there that is available for these children. I am sure that all of you have encountered an adult who was abused as a child and they behave the way they do because of this abuse. I want to talk to you about being abused as a child and how it affects you later on into adulthood. I was abused later on in my life by a man I was in a relationship with, and it affected me. I think we need to reach out and help these children who are being abused and show them what love is, because they do crave that love. Children who suffer abuse are not only affected by the abuse at the time, but also it affects them later on into their adulthood. There are many areas in the child's life that can be affected by this abuse. A program supported by the government would be very helpful in getting the child the help that they need. That way that it can help them to heal from the abuse and help them later on into their adulthood. The areas that can be affected by the abuse into adulthood are just some of the following. Relationships with other people. It can cause anxiety, depression, and PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. And it can also affect certain cognitive functions. I will start off with discussing you this afternoon about the relationships with others. Relationships as an adult can be affected because of the abuse that the adult had when they were a child. Friendships can be affected. They can not trust somebody. Also, intimate relationships can be affected, especially if there was some kind of sexual abuse when they were a child. Some of the children who were sexually abused either become sex addicts or they get to the point where they don't want it at all. And this can cause effects later on into the intimacy in these types of relationships. It can also affect the relationship that the adult has with their child. The adult can actually repeat history and they can abuse their child because that's the only thing that they know. Now I'm going to move on to my next point. The abuse can lead to many different types of mental illnesses. These illnesses can include severe depression, really bad anxiety. It can even cause schizophrenia or like I said before, severe post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. All these illnesses can affect everyday living, activities, just can affect their lives in general. Now I'm going to discuss with you the final points that I have for you. The abuse can even cause certain cognitive functions. This can include memory loss, whether it be short-term or long-term. It can cause emotional processing deficiency, not being able to show your emotions or express how you feel. You just kind of just get into a shell and you don't really talk it out or even show when something's bothering you. Even the process of learning can be affected, where you're not able to grasp the material as quickly as others. You're just kind of behind in your learning. So these are just a few examples of how child abuse can affect a child all the way into adulthood. Abuse as a child can affect the person. These areas, again, which include relationships with others, mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD, and certain cognitive functions. There are so many areas in a person's life that can be affected by the abuse. With proof of all these areas that I'm presenting with you this afternoon, I feel that the government should come up with some kind of program as to where they can help the child. Even programs that can help the adult later on into their adulthood. Children are such special gifts from God. They need to know what it's like to be loved, and they need to learn that there is hope, and they don't have to live by the effects of this abuse. And they need to realize that there is a healing process, and they can overcome this, and they can reach out and help others, and it'll help them with their everyday living. I hope you enjoyed this, and God bless.